Eric Lindell here for my second installment about time. The previous one discussed how time is not the mysterious idea that it appears to be, but is rather very simple and very obvious, so much so that we miss it. It's sort of like being unable to find one's own nose. If you didn't see that one, why don't you check it out, and then this might make more sense, but then again it might not. So, right now we want to talk about time's direction, a very popular topic, and I think also the subject of a lot of confusion. People talk about the second law of thermodynamics as a reason for time's direction. And the first thing I want to talk about, pursuant to that, is the direction of events. Events unfold unidirectionally, or at least they appear to do so. And you can characterize that in terms of time going unidirectionally, but I think that they are two different things, and this is why. It is theoretically possible for events to unfold in the quote-unquote wrong direction. If you put a hot brick next to a cold brick, if you do it enough times, then eventually there will be heat transfer from the cold brick to the hot brick. The odds against that, of course, are staggering, but it will eventually happen. Now, there's a clock on the wall ticking throughout all of these trials. Does it suddenly tick backward because you got to the case where the heat transfer is from the cold to the hot brick? I don't think so. Time's unidirectionality in this sense is not statistical. Rather, it derives from the nature of time. Everything in the universe is a function of time, but only time is an identity function of time. What time will it be a second from now? It'll be a second from now. What time will it be 2 seconds from now? It'll be 2 seconds from now. What color will some traffic light be in 1 second? Well, I have no idea. What mood will somebody be in 1 second? Again, I don't know. I do know that time marches progressively toward eternity as time marches progressively toward eternity because it cannot do anything else. It is the consequence of the nature of identity and the reflexive property of equality, that a thing is simply itself. It doesn't have to do with physics. It precedes physics. It's, you might even call it a consequence of language. That what else can time be but time? And as time moves forward, well, which other direction can time be moving in? All right, that's my spiel on the direction of time. Now, there is also a lot of discussion about time travel. Now, we're moving into the future, of course, at the rate of 1 second per second. Again, just another kind of identity or tautology, or you might even call it a redundancy. Can you move into the future 2 seconds in 1 second? No. Why? Does special relativity preclude that? No, the English language precludes it. 2 seconds from now, it's going to be 2 seconds from now. 1 second from now, it's going to be 1 second from now. There is no physical theory extant or yet to be discovered that could possibly ever in a billion years contradict that. Okay, it's sort of like coming up with a triangle that doesn't have 3 sides. No, you didn't. You might think you did, but I don't have to see your data or hear your arguments or have a discussion about it to know that your claim to have found a triangle with some number of sides other than 3 is patently and on the face of it false. To speak intelligently about physics it's not enough to know physics. You have to know how to use the English language. And physicists are often taught how to be very, very careful in their use of mathematics and logical analyses of scientific issues, but it doesn't mean that they are taught or in any other way know how to express themselves with the same precision. The mathematics does not tell you anything. The mathematics just tells you how to manipulate symbols. Okay, the meaning you assign to those symbols is to some extent arbitrary, and it's to some extent going to be reflective of a bias. So, you have the claim that is sometimes heard that from general relativity, that space is curved around a massive body rather than light follows a curved trajectory around a massive body. By saying that the space itself is curved, you get to retain the assumption that the light is following the shortest possible path. Well, what if you were willing to let go of that assumption? Then you could say that it followed a curved trajectory. In other words, the mathematics gives you two choices. It doesn't favor one of them. What favors one of those choices is the desire to have a theory that not only that comports with observation, but which does so in the simplest possible way. There's two ideas of truth here. The correspondence theory, my statement is considered true if it corresponds with the state of affairs in the world, but if there are two such possible statements, then the one that will be preferred will be the one that is simpler, that can characterize observations with the fewest assumptions. So that's my rambling spiel about time. Oh yeah, one other thing. If we did go into the past, like yesterday, for example, with a time machine, you could never verify that you had actually done so. You could look around and say, well, yeah, okay, this is yesterday because that was over there and that was over there, blah, blah, blah. Okay, boom, it's yesterday. Okay, what's wrong with that? To be in yesterday, you have to duplicate all of its features, one of which was you had no memory of it. To you, it was happening for the first time. So the idea that we cannot go into the past is not so much wrong, but meaningless, because there's no way to verify it. And you could say the same about going into the future, and for that reason, you could conceivably have a world whose timeline oscillates rapidly between the distant past and the distant future, and you'd have no way of knowing. And not only that, it's even worse. It could move discontinuously from one point to another along the ostensible continuum of time through the past, present, future, back again, every which conceivable direction, and you'd have no way of knowing. It just gets back to the idea that, time moves monotonically into the future as time moves monotonically into the future because it cannot do anything else. I'll end it there, but there's going to be a lot more, so please stick around.